So yeah, those are a couple of rumours, and it would indeed be nice to get out and ride some new bikes this year. Hopefully things will start to gradually open up. But I think, Tim, realistically, we're facing like quite a different experience when you do go and demo a bike, at least for the next few months. It's going to be socially distanced, and probably the bikes are going to have to be disinfected, but we'll just have to see what that's like. I know the dealers are finding it tough, so as soon as I can get back out and ride it, it'd be nice to support some local shops, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
And there are plenty of bikes I think both of us are looking forward to riding, so much so that we thought we'd put together our top 5 best new bikes of 2020 so far, the ones that we're most looking forward to test riding later this year if we get the chance. So Tim, are you going to take it away with your 5 favourite bikes so far this year?
Yeah, I'll run you through. Some of them potentially hard to get hold of. Hell of a big difference in terms of the size and what sort of thing they're more focused on. But I think one of the ones that's caught my eye so far, actually from when you sent a video for me, was the RS660 from Aprilia. I remember you were really excited about that one as well, and I think your excitement has sort of fed into me a little bit there, but I am quite excited or curious about that one. I haven't ridden that many sports bikes, even though that's a sort of middleweight, medium sort of, I say medium power.
100 horsepower.
Yeah, it's still pretty powerful, isn't it? 100 horsepower. And it's the weight as well. It's super lightweight, spot. Right?
Yeah. That's the sweet spot to me. And that's why I'm excited. I think the only downside potentially is I don't know. I got some comments on the video about it saying that, Aprilia's like reliability maybe or support network isn't great.
They're always going to have that little asterisk over them, aren't they? Aprilia.
Yeah, same with like MV and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's better to judge each bike on its merits.
I didn't say I was going to own it. Just I'm curious to ride it.
That's a different thing. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you on the horsepower thing. 100 horsepower is nice. It's not balls to the wall scary. And if you get a bike that is as lightweight as this one is as well, I think is it a 270 as well? 270 degree firing order. On that
I'm reluctant to comment.
Yeah, don't commit. But I know it'll sound awesome as well because it's Italian and it's a twin, and that is exactly what they do. That's their bread and butter. So yeah, I'll be really excited to try that one. The next one for me will be another twin, to be honest with you, and this one, we mentioned it last time, but the 890, the KTM 890. I loved the 790. I thought it was a really good bike. All of the reviews and the reports that I've heard on the 890 are that it's everything you love about that bike, just dialed up a little bit further, and it's just there's what's not to like about that bike other than potentially the looks. But if I'm sitting on it, I don't get to see it, so that's not much of an issue.
And you're not that vain, are you? That you wouldn't care for the people?
No, I'm not vain at all. A little bit though. You don't want to turn out.
That was the quickest retraction ever.
Yeah, but it's because I know it's absolute tosh. Because if you turn up in the car park and you've got the munter of the pack, then there's always a little part of you wants to sort of cover it up a bit. But no, very excited about that one. I'd actually sort of put a little extra on there as well I'd quite like to try the KTM 1290 just for some comparison on the two as well. And I sort of want to see how raucous that bike could be. But I think the more approachable or accessible bike for me is probably the 890. And it's probably the more fun, to be honest with you, because it's a little bit smaller and more manageable. But yeah, they're definitely in there for me. The next one is a hell of a contrast, but we've talked about it a few times, the Honda CT125.
The Hunter Cub.
The Hunter Cub, yeah. What's not to love about that name and what it stands for? I just love the fact that it is this piddly little toy bike that you can take off-road with some real sort of functionality and practicality to it as well.
I'd love to see you on that.
Thanks,
maybe
mate.
going to somewhere like the Ace Cafe
and
just pulling up on the Hunter Cub or Rikers or something like that in Box Hill.
Box Hill, definitely. I'll meet you down there sometime on it.
Ideally in full leathers.
Yeah, race leathers with the hump on the back and everything.
Exactly.
Just to get the wind resistance down. Probably have to do the M25, so actually not so stupid having the race suit. But yeah, I would love to take that thing on a little adventure. And the thing is that I quite like about that bike, it's sort of like when you're a kid and you make your own adventures out of anything. And it's the tailoring of the sort of the vehicle to the adventure, or the adventure to the vehicle, and finding a trip that, say if it was 10 miles and on some big touring or off-road, Adventure GS or something like that, the trip is nothing. If you do 10 miles on that, you wouldn't even feel it. But if you take something like the Hunter Cub on 10 miles, you're going to feel it, and you're going to get the same enjoyment out of that as you would on a bigger bike doing 100 miles.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it anyway.
Agreed.
And then to completely contrast that, the V4 Street Fighter is right up my alley, from Ducati.
I'm quite surprised by this one that you put that in there.
Why?
Well, we kind of slagged it off. No, we didn't slag it off. We just probably agreed with the media that had said that it's a bit of a contradiction, I suppose, to have something that powerful geared towards the road. Completely,
I do get that, but there is something enjoyable about just trying something a bit ludicrous, and I think that's why it's a bit of a dream bike for me, as far as, and maybe not even that, just the actual V4, the Panigale V4 is definitely a dream bike for me, and there's something about the Street Fighter that makes it seem more accessible, or more like I'd be taken seriously if asking to sort of have a go on it. There's something about the V4 Panigale that is, like, again, it's lottery winner bike. It's one of these things that I'm probably never going to own, sadly, but will always kind of lust after. It's that pin-up bike for me.
For sure.
So either one of the two, to be honest with you, I'm not fussy, Rob. If someone's going to give me the keys to either, I'm not going to turn it down. So that's definitely on there for me, as far as the bikes that I quite like. And then the last one for me is the Ninja 250. Again, it is not dream bike in terms of inaccessible, as far as affordability or rideability.
But the ZX25R?
Sorry, the ZX25R, yeah. And the reason I'm putting it is a bit inaccessible in that we're not getting it in the UK. So I put it in there as a bit of a dream. Not dream bikes, maybe a bit too strong a term, to be honest with you. I don't dream about 250s. But it's a really, really cool bike, and I love the howling, high revving nature of a 250 4-cylinder. I think it's a really cool thing to get on board with.
There are a couple of videos on YouTube now of it with the Yoshimura full system being revved up and dynoed. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're pretty good. No, I have.
Yeah, I watched a few of them before we started this one, this podcast, and it's I had to turn the volume down on my laptop because it just screams.
That's a that's a nice little list you've got there. Well, it's quite sporty. Apart from the Hunter Cub.
No, we'll keep that in there as sporty. Put a race on it, sporty.
Exactly. All right, let me rattle through these then. R18, I think that's obvious. We've talked about it so much, the R18, but I just have to get out on it at some point this year. I'm dying to. I just want to know what it's like. Mm-hmm. One that actually seems to have passed me by a bit, though. Not passed me by. I missed the opportunity. The window of opportunity was the Indian Challenger. I was loving that bike. I know it's the looks are somewhat Marmite. They're a bit divisive, but I actually like it. I like how they have the matte color schemes as well. I really like what they're doing with their bikes at the moment. Yeah. And that combination of like a huge armchair style motorcycle, but with good spec brakes, a more powerful engine than you can get elsewhere in the sort of American touring market, decent suspension. I just wanted to know, like, what's that like? A 300 kilogram bike or whatever it is, 300 and something. Yeah. When you push it on a little bit with that spec of equipment. So I was excited about that. They had one at Crazy Horse. Could have ridden it, but took the FTR out instead. And now we're locked down. So I'm going to make sure I get out there and try that out. I really want to know. The other bike I want to get up there and try, because they're an MV dealer as well, is the Super Veloce. I don't know if you saw, but MV Agusta resumed production this week or last week, so that's good news. And they started by rattling off a few Super Veloces. Cool. But I believe it was the Seri Oro, the really high spec one. But hopefully the kind of more base spec model that the dealers will actually let you out on, because I highly doubt they'll be letting anyone out on those premium spec versions.
Ship them in.
Yeah, hopefully those will be showing up soon. But I mean,
love the fact that's the spec down as well. The Super Veloce. He's like, well, it's only the spec down Super Veloce. It's probably
exactly.
It's still pretty mean.
The thing is, I rode the F3 or something last year.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be wildly different from that. It just looks different. But I just want to see it in the flesh and then take it for a spin and, get a vibe from it. But it just looks... It's my favourite looking bike. I think I've said that a few times. New Fireblade is my other one in my list. I just think it looks great. I don't know where I would actually explore the limits of what it's capable of. But I just think, I see that bike and I think I'd love to have a go on that. Especially that long exhaust. I know that's a bit divisive as well, but I actually think it looks tidy.
It's not the worst. Yeah, sports bikes, especially with the restrictions and stuff at the moment, they have to go for these massive, stupid-looking cans on them. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not the worst.
No, I think they've done a good job.
Suzuki's done some bad ones in the past. I think Honda's done all right there.
I would actually say, possibly, that... No, I'm not sure. I think I'd rather have a go on the new Fireblade than maybe the V4 Street Fighter. I'm not sure why though, Tim. It's just got a certain je ne sais quoi for me. And when I saw it in the flesh at EICMA, I just thought it looks great.
Yeah. I can see that. I'd go in on that. I do think the Fireblade, it's certainly got more of a reputation than the V4 because the V4 is a new thing for Ducati.
It's got the exhaust control valve as well, the Fireblade, that the Africa Twin had. And we said in the last episode, we both loved how that bike sounded.
It does sound good.
Even riding it round the car park, Tim, you had a big grin on your face, revving it.
Massively, yeah.
So even if I don't get to push the Fireblade to its limits, if I manage to get my hands on one... Just revving it up will probably be loads of fun. Yeah. The last bike on my list, though, is a bit of an odd one. But I really want to get out on the V-Strom 1050. I think they've done a great job of retroing it up a bit. The yellow and blue version with the sort of DR big styling looks great. And at 9,995 or whatever it starts at, it just seems like a snip in the adventure market. So I'd love to try one out and see what they've done with that.
Yeah.
So not the sexiest choice on the list. Not the least either, I would say, though. You know,
out of your list? Or, whoa. I thought you were going off your list, and I was going to be like, yeah, fine. But no, the Hunter Cub is a sex bike. I won't hear anything bad about it.
Okay. It's in the eye of the beholder, motorcycle sexiness. But that's my little list. I'd love to try all of those out. We even put this out on the Facebook group for anyone listening that's not a member. It's a private Facebook group, but we pretty much accept everybody. And we put a little question in there. What's everyone else looking forward to test riding? So I'll have a look through some of these. Ed Priest also wants to go on the Fireblade. So a man of taste. I didn't read that before I put it in my list, I don't think. Andy Todd rides a 650 Versys but fancies a retro, so the XSR 900 has caught his eye.
That's a good bike. Yeah, it gets overlooked now because it's not brand new, is it? But it's a nice bike.
No, yeah, that's true. It isn't brand new. Did you see Yami Noob did a series where he's like, or a video where he was like wired by the MT-07 over the MT-09?
No.
I think maybe Andy might be worth having a look at that video before you go and try an XSR 900. Bike Bob would like to go on a V7 Interceptor and the latest Zero. I'd always encourage anybody who hasn't been on a Zero just to at least go and give it a try. And of course, because electric bikes don't sell in huge numbers, I think Zero's still struggling with volume. The dealers are pretty facilitating with test rides, so I definitely recommend that. Any that have caught your eye in here, Tim?
For the list?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not on the page. What from...
Oh, it's all right. Do you want me to just keep rattling through? Because we've only got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, go on.
Liam, who's got... I think he's got the XSR 700. He says he wants to try the 900 or Z900 or Z900 RS. Brian Kennedy, having a 2003 Speedmaster. I'd like to ride the 2020 version. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd say the big change there is probably, I assume, the Speedmaster in 2003. I mean, it's probably a bit more punchy than the new one, but the 2003 probably uses the traditional 360 firing order of Triumphs of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Whereas the new one's got that 270, so it'll definitely feel a bit different. So it's certainly worth a go.
It's like
Drew
the Bob,
Faulkner,
but with just a bit bigger, isn't it? It's a good bike.
Yeah,
definitely.
Pillion seat and a bit more bling to it. Drew Faulkner, Tiger 900, great shout. Definitely get out on that if you're even considering it. Gav Hunt, I'd like a go on both the Triumph Speed Twin and the Z900 RS. Z900 RS is coming up a lot considering it's not a new bike.
No, again, one of those bikes that you can overlook now because it's a few years old, but it's such a good bike. Really good.
Yeah. Anthony here says he's curious about the new 2020 Rebel 500 with a revised stiffer ride. So he's in your gang there, Tim, because you're a big fan of the Rebel 500.
Yeah, you can join my gang. I'd love the Rebel 500, and it is still one of those bikes that I look at. If I was going to have two bikes, and one was like a faster, bigger distance bike, and then one for just popping through London and closer distance stuff, then yeah, the Rebel would be in my stable, for sure.
David Garraway says Speed Twin as well. That's come up a few times as an upgrade to his T100.
Good upgrade.
Or the R9T Classic as well.
That's a good one
too. And then lastly...
Yeah.
Dave Rondo says the CB650R, which I have reviewed favourably, and I'd agree that's a good one. Although I'd be definitely checking out the CB1000R as well, because Tim was saying a few weeks ago there's some really good finance deals. So if you do feel like you're going to stretch its legs a bit, it's worth having a look at that and see what kind of deal you can get on it.
Definitely.
Some good suggestions in there though, Tim.